The new Claude or Elon's Grok? Who's the new AI king? Both claim to be the best. So let's check in this episode. Hello,
Hello,
humans.
humans. I'm not AI, I'm Maria.
I'm not Maria. I'm Jan.
We are Humans on AI, and this is Practical AI News Weekly, where we sift through the AI madness so you don't have to.
This time, just after the release of Grok-3, we have a new contender for the throne.
Anthropic has revealed the new Claude 3.7 Sonnet. And by the way, Anthropic was founded by former members of OpenAI, including siblings like us, Dario Amodei and Daniela Amodei. So the new Claude 3.7, you can pick normal thinking and extended thinking mode. And what does it mean? So, in the extended thinking mode, it thinks harder. It you can see how it thinks, but you need to pay the pro subscription.
Unless you have Cursor IDE with subscription, and then you have both of them included.
Cursor IDE is the leading programming editor with integrated AI. Many programmers use it, but Claude 3.5, the previous model, was already regarded highly when it comes to programming, and the Claude 3.7 is on top coding benchmarks that Anthropic has shown.
Exactly, because these don't include Grok 3. And fellow humans, have you tried it? Because it is worth to compare. Maybe you have compared it, because I have, but just in two cases so far. And one of those was programming design, and another was changing complex code.
Just to explain, programming design means planning what should be done without going into any detail, right?
That's right. And I compared it with Grok 3, DeepSeek R1, and ChatGPT. So what was funny that ChatGPT was lazy. Basically, wrote me a few points and that's it. So this wasn't a design and kinda answered my question. So I used the O3, the high one. Now, DeepSeek R1 gave me no overview and just pieces of code. This is not what I asked for. Grok-3 explained plus wrote some samples of code, how I can do this, but the overview was kind of murky. So kind of focused too much on giving me some kind of code instead of a general answer. And Claude 3.7 Sonnet in normal thinking mode gave me clear overview with example pieces of code, what I expected. And the extended thinking mode was the only difference there was that it gave me more concrete examples, so even more examples of those. So for this comparison, Claude won for me.
But by the way, I heard from a lot of people that they find ChatGPT lazy and also impolite in some cases. So that's just a side note.
So we have a yes man who is also impolite sometimes.
Yes.
There was one period where it was so lazy that it answered like, why don't you solve it yourself?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that shows it. I have a friend who said that it was actually getting into an argument with her. So we never know where that might go. But let's go back to our coding example. So tell
Yeah.
us more.
The second one was this changing complex code. I wanted to improve the speed, how it ran, so to have it faster. I had one idea where to improve it, and I gave this as a hint that, okay, I want this and more. So Claude 3.7 Sonnet, I used the agent mode, so it can even can do a change, check something, do another, and so on. So in the normal mode, not this extended thinking, it introduced a bug and overcomplicated the code. So I tried the extended thinking mode, and That was horrible because it overcomplicated the code so much because it thought so long about it that I didn't even want to read it to understand it, whether it is buggy or not or whatever. And instead, I took what Grok-3 outputted for me because it wrote simply 4 improvement snippets. So 4 improvements with pieces of code to just copy paste wherever I need. And this was exactly on point and exactly what I needed. So Grok-3 won this one.
That's interesting, especially because, I thought it would be so easy to just use a model, an AI, and help develop for programmers. And apparently, it's not so easy. You still have to know what you're doing, right? It's not for a junior developer to do. And it's even shown because the recent report from Git Clear showed that because of AI, code quality is getting worse, not better. And there's more duplicated code.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised because it is very easy to just add more because you asked AI to implement this and that. It adds more code, and all you need to do is accept if you are using Cursor IDE or copy paste it, and you have it. Why bother doing something else? But what you should normally do is to consider, okay, other pieces of code, whether it is something similar, and if it is, and at least in three, that's a good measurement, at least in 3 places the same thing, then you make something more general to reuse the same piece instead of copying.
So you still need to know how to code to use AI to
And
code.
I don't see that it will get better in the nearest future because this needs so much more computation.
Okay. So coming back to Claude 3.7, is it good? Is it bad? What's your take?
Well, maybe. Who knows? Maybe it's only good for solving problems from zero when you don't have anything and don't have a big code base and just have one problem and have it solved. Because I saw independent benchmark from IDER, which is another helper for programmers, and it was on the top.
Okay, and what does that test?
So it takes 225 coding exercises from different languages and measures how many of them are correctly solved and also how much money does it take in total to solve all of them or try to solve all of them. So Claude 3.7 Sonnet is on the top with this extended thinking mode. And it costs $37 to run it for all those 225 exercises. And then we have DeepSeek R1 on the second position, but with Claude 3.5, so this previous one, together in tandem. They are used together, not competing for the same place, but they're used as
In
one.
collaboration.
Yeah. And it was almost as good, but 1/3 of the price. So only $13. And a fun fact is that on the third position, also very close, is OpenAI's O1, not 301. However, the price is 5 times higher, $186.
Okay,
I
so
would
we still
expect that at least 03 would be there.
right.
Yeah.
So DeepSeek still good and cheap.
Yeah. However, we don't have Grok-3 there as well. Yeah, I can't wait to see how it actually compares in such benchmarks. So, and not only me, I would also like to use it in Cursor IDE, and I'm not alone in this sentiment because I saw that on Cursor IDE forums, a lot of people request for it. And I was on those forums because I got a malware alert from my antivirus that the latest Cursor has a virus in it. And it turned out that many antiviruses have the same alert for Cursor IDE on Windows. Nobody knows if this is a false alert or not. So yeah, if you are on Windows, because it seems like it is only on Windows, it is a good idea to not update for now, at least until there is a patch.
So stay with your Cursor ID as it is. Don't update it until they find a cause.
There is no official statement whether it is a virus or not. However, Grok-3 isn't available through API yet, so even if they updated and wanted to include Grok-3, then it's not possible yet. And I guess this is exactly the reason why Grok-3 wasn't tested in those benchmarks.
Right. It's amazing the demand for Grok-3, right? So it ended up as #1 on App Store after giving it for free.
Yeah, and I noticed that when I use DeepSeek, I get less of this communicate that the server is busy. Please try again later.
People went to Grok instead. Now Grok has that communicate. That's why I couldn't use it sometimes when I wanted. So people use Grok more because of the Elon hype, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like people spread over multiple AIs recently because we have this shiny new Grok, we have new Sonnet, and people are trying those. And hopefully they will spread. There will be more competition and we will not have those servers overloaded so much.
Right. That's true. We started with only one, ChatGPT, for 3 years, and now we have so many to use. And speaking of DeepSeek, we have 2 big news. So they will reveal code repositories with data and materials related to DeepSeek R1. Is it because they want to prove that they haven't stolen from OpenAI? Who knows? That might be the case, and we will know more after they do that. And the news #2 is there is upcoming R2 model coming earlier than planned.
Yeah, they must feel the pressure of those new releases of the state-of-the-art models and sped up their plans to release R2. It's not announced yet when it will actually come. However, they said it will be much faster than originally planned.
Everything will be the best again, right? So let's wait for it. We have also those announcements about ChatGPT 4.5 and 5. So let's see who comes first. But meanwhile, we already got 2 huge releases in the few days and other ones because there is also the video. So Google released VO 2 video generation tool. And it's the best, as they say. And then Alibaba released 2.1. That's very hard to say for me. And that, guess what? Benchmark V Bench says this one is the best.
Yeah, and this time, this benchmark doesn't have Google VO2 included. So, like a situation with Grok-3, there's new Claude on top of the benchmarks, but the benchmarks don't include Grok-3. So who knows if it's better or not.
Yeah, that's everybody does what they can to secure this #1 spot, right? And the headlines. So 2.1 is open source, both code and models, and Google VO2 is not. But you can try it, the Google's VO2, on VideoFX and Vertex AI.
Yeah, and which one do you think is better?
From the sample videos, I would say the VO2. But they are always cherry picked. And It depends, because when you look at some of the 2.1 videos, some creepy clips, they're always there.
Yeah, even in those cherry picked, that fox will give me nightmares.
Okay, and meanwhile on Google, what's more, we have Google Lens on iOS and new AI features. Not sure if you know, there is Apple Intelligence getting bigger and bigger, and you can get on the beta train. So if you sign up on your iPhone for the beta updates, you will get some updates before other people, and you will be able to use those features. Now it's iOS 18.4. Now for the quick news from the roundup of this week, CapCut microwave filter went viral on TikTok. It creates an animation of a rotating object, which can be you or some other object or a dog. It looks like in the microwave. That's why it's called microwave filter. It
Yeah,
even
and
gives you the,
initially you have just a photo of something,
yeah,
doesn't move, but
it's
it
like a
makes it
photo of
move.
us now, and suddenly you have this.
Exactly. But much
And
worse.
oh yes, because the AI imagines a lot about how you look on the back. So it was used 350 times, 1,000 times on TikTok, and they can give creeps. The bummer is that I tried to use it and it's no longer in use.
Yeah, so for other news, iPhone gets Photoshop together with its desktop AI features.
Can't wait. You will see my new face pretty soon. And Apple Intelligence will give well, that's interesting. So Apple Intelligence will have Google Gemini to pick on top of ChatGPT. So in your iPhone, you will have both, and in your desktop, once you update, you will have both to choose.
Perplexity, on the other hand, teased on X Comet, a browser for agentic search by Perplexity.
A browser for agentic search. That's interesting, and I can't imagine. I imagine it will be not a normal browser, right?
Yeah, I imagine that it will be like looking how your AI is doing things for you and guiding it instead of having a full browser there.
Well, the
And
search needed some upgrade already, right?
yeah. Now, from big investments, Apple plans to spend 500 billion in the US over the next 4 years, which is the same amount and time as the Stargate project by OpenAI.
Meta 2, 200 billion in the US.
On the other hand, Microsoft is pulling back. They canceled some of the US data center leases.
China, on the other hand, built underwater AI computing center.
That's cool.
And they use salt water for cooling.
Double cool. And the last one. An AI found a way of diagnosing multiple diseases with a single blood test.
And that's just one test that can check for COVID, HIV, lupus, type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, and hopefully the only lupus you'll ever meet will be in House MD episodes.
Fellow humans, this is it for this week. We will be posting our weekly practical AI news here and on Substack. Link is below the like button.
And have you seen that nice animation when you click the subscribe button? Thank you for watching and see you next week.
Bye bye.